Not actually.
Well, that's our number of women employees are going dramatically, and they're all childbearing age. They made the company's fun spot. Good, I just got to visit her. I think that's it. They're down. Which one was?
As long as.
It had some. Never look back. With aging, really, she had more interest in it than we know.
There was a woman who retired.
She's more connected. She worked with me.
Terry, what time do you usually? 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting to order. And if you could, please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the order.
Yeah, sure you.
What?
What'd you say you were doing?
Calling the committee to order.
Okay.
There you go. Approval of the minutes from last night as amended, assuming that Jeff has just approved the amendment.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
One more, there was a, does anybody know? The last time we did a revaluation. that had a blank there.
2006.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're
So with that, carry on.
Was that the amendment? Help me out. The amendment was, to specify the amount of, surplus that he's gonna use to get us below LD1. And then his projection surplus beyond that will be used to, at mill rate setting time to, reduce the commitment. And get those numbers specific.
That's, the scribe had no idea what she was talking about, it was a little garbled.
But now you know some stuff.
Well, you guys, do what you do.
So do we want to defer that because folks haven't read it? So we'll do it tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah, Penny hasn't seen it.
Sure,
Okay.
nobody had, because I was asking these guys to tell me language that was right. Okay.
Do you ask for public comment or do I?
Well, first see if anybody wants to adjust the agenda. Any adjustments to the agenda? No. And you can go ahead and do public comment.
Is there any public comment?
There ain't.
Public.
There is no public. So there might be
Hearing
some
none.
out there.
First up, budget review, Amy and Company. We all have your handout.
Okay,
I did one.
so it's kind of like a little estimation of the changes of the budget. How many calls we covered, that kind of thing, so everybody got that. So I do have a question, so.
Same. Yeah, it's an explanation of the benefits, those are the
Building and grounds.
revisions. Okay, so ignore the book.
No, no,
Just those pages are.
That's from building and grounds we did last night. That's what your
Oh.
billing ground. What your England required to do.
Line 604,
So.
mine's page 24.
It's 27.
Yeah.
Oh my, what my pages.
Yeah.
We're on different page.
Okay, Amy, tell us what we need to know and why.
Okay. Do you wanna start right at the top and kind of go down through it?
Well, yeah, do the importance. Yes,
Okay,
you
so,
don't have to, don't
I don't
have to
go-
go into the intended details that are not relevant.
okay. So the top of the salaries and stipends are just a percentage of raise, the COLA raise, so there's no, other than the raise in that aspect. For the director, deputy director, assistant director, those positions. The next are the wages. And the increase of that is the dollar increase for each level. And some night shift pay hourly, that right now we do only stipend at night, and I kind of explained it in our, little book that I kind of put out. Is that, everybody around us has gone to night shift pay hourly, and right now, we are still stipend. Here, so I have kind of put in a couple nights a week that somebody coming from out of town that stays here can get paid hourly to stay here to cover our time. So that's some of the increase on the wages.
Questions? Again, with you. How's your staff?
As we look into our, active wise, it's a little lower. We have 20 people on our roster and normally see about 12 of them on the schedule. So the same people,
That's
some of it
bad.
is a night shift is not hourly pay, so someone's gonna go do a 24-hour shift somewhere else. Or come here for 12 and then get a stipend at night. So, trying to rotate some of that night we pay in here may increase staff and coverage, and we, some of 2 or 3 people that live around in our town will probably give them a little bit of break. So,
And, the 260 calls that I see?
yeah,
Okay. So that's down from the peak of like 4 years ago when it was 283 or something.
yeah. So, and it is up and down, between 250 to 300. We have, like some medics on our staff. But, to go somewhere and do a 24 is easier than come and doing a 12 here. So we're lucky to have, Ryan's a new medic, he's now medic level. And he lives
Congratulations.
close,
Thank you.
so we're lucky to have him. We've got another one that, hasn't run a lot, but he is a medic. He picked up a shift this month that lives in town. But, to have that flexibility to have someone come in, if someone calls out sick or somebody is sick from out of town and actually get paid would be helpful.
Now, is this, are we now 7 days a week?
Yep.
For meal and night?
Yep.
And so if we don't have a medic available,
We still call St. George,
then how much does that cost?
125.
Okay.
As opposed to how much
800.
Rockland used to charge us.
Well, they still do. If we have to go that way, and I wouldn't hesitate if we got to a call and we have told the providers, we get to a call and we're not gonna wait for St. George to come help us. We're gonna start to the hospital and call ahead, but we've only had to do that like once in the last couple of years. So, we're lucky that they dual page us depending on what they get for a call, so. But, yeah.
Keep it up.
Okay. Benefits with that is done by Terry and those guys at FICA and Medicare. Contract services, there's no, real increase there. The next would be the fuel and technology. There's an increase there. I don't really think there's any other real increase except for the insurance line of 645, and that is for like workers' comp and unemployment and stuff, and that's the increase there.
Why is workers' comp not so much?
Based on, it's based on the payroll, and the payroll goes up, workers' comp goes up.
That's on a lot more than payroll. Is that proportional?
Some of it is a catch up from the 18-month period when we were, we didn't have the payroll as high as the payroll actually was in our budget, but it was higher, so we paid more. So when you budget again, you budget more.
Okay.
That's not something we can control.
Yeah.
Supplies, there's no increase there. And same with equipment, so our real increase is payroll in this budget.
Wow. That's all people related.
Yeah.
And that's all, competitive necessity among other, you know, right?
Yeah.
And you're relatively on par across the,
We are.
region.
With this rate,
Pardon?
with this increase.
How's the ambulance?
Good. Yep.
Best for in Knox County.
That's what Knox County.
Probably true.
Are we done with the payback?
Yes.
So I can delete my spreadsheet?
Well, no, you should say
Is it-
forever, someone might have a question.
Oh, okay. How did it turn out?
What do you mean?
Was it on the number? Was it on the,
I think so.
Yeah.
point of pride?
I do have a comment if it's okay with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm asking the current, the budget chair if I can speak.
Sure.
Okay. Can you talk about the stabilization grant?
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question.
Okay.
We talked about the revenue, for the reserve, putting in 21,007.
I think we said 67,000.
The first bunch of money we get is only 41,784.
Yeah, because what we put in was 67,784. So I don't know exactly. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about, because that didn't make sense to me.
784. You
No,
mean the-
61,784 is what
Yeah,
we
it's
have
not,
going into it.
we're getting 41,784.32.
Okay, and we want to apply some of it. We can only apply 25 of it here, right?
You can only put 25 of it into capital reserve. You can put 50 altogether with the two different checks we're gonna be receiving.
Two different checks.
Yes,
Okay.
so the first bout of stabilization, we are receiving 41,784.32 because I'm getting contract within the next week.
Okay.
So everything has been accepted through the grant, and this is how much we're getting. This one. The next one will be coming out probably July that we can apply for.
And we think that one will be the same.
The same or more depending on what we're doing. Some of it pertains to education, some of it pertains to stabilization of, keeping people.
Yeah.
And then some will pertain to some realization. So it
in
depends.
total, we're gonna get over 83,000.
Ish,
Okay,
yes,
and we can only apply 50 of that to
reserve account.
reserves. The rest of it we need to apply to
To
salaries. and-
salaries, education, regionalization.
Okay. And all of those pieces are currently in your budget?
Mhm.
Okay, so if we take the rest of it and plunk it in as a grant revenue against your
Budget,
line, we're,
as long as that's what it's put in for, yes.
yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Correct.
good. That's
So there's grant funding out there for us, EMS stabilization grant, which was, the first boat was like 19 million or 37 million. There's two different amounts. The first one is that they did a formula. This is how much you guys are allowed to apply for, which we applied for the whole amount and we will receive the whole amount. With that being said, it has to be put towards, or we can put it towards our reserve account for either equipment or ambulance up to 50,000 of the whole amount that we get. And stabilization of salaries, education, including, in internal education, those kind of pieces. So the first one we planned for was, to put towards our capital reserve. Since we just paid an ambulance off and we have not a huge amount in our reserve, for the next one that's coming up. And then stabilizing people to be here, the night shift pay, that kind of thing to help with that piece. So, I think budget wise, we're gonna put in what it says on here is 21,784 to the ambulance reserve. Guys,
From your stabilization fund.
right,
So, what about the
and then the other
see
20,000
an
would
appropriation
be,
amount?
right.
Okay.
And the other was gonna be for, as you said, going against the increase of. As long as we put it in as that, it's stabilizing the increase of pay to keep people here.
And how much?
So if we put in the 21,784 to the first ambulance reserve, it leaves the 20,000.
Okay,
That's
I think
only
I
the
put
first tranche.
25,
That's all, that's just the first tranche.
That's the first, right, that's just the first piece,
And the second piece though is gonna be in this fiscal year, right?
right?
Mhm.
So we'll be able to put up to 50,000, so more into that, so.
well, it happened before town meeting.
It, no.
So we'll have the first check before town meeting,
The 41.
the 41, but we will not have the second check until after, or the second stabilization piece.
Oh, we can estimate it as a revenue. We do that with everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yes,
so we
yes.
can, so we can say we are gonna put out of this money 50 to our ambulance reserve, and then the rest will go towards. You know, stabilization of EMS wages and education.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, good. I think that's the way to go. Good,
Does that sound,
yeah.
but that's how I would say.
So we're changing 61,784 in the reserve to 50.
The 50, yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm glad you're realizing ways to maybe I missed it, but. There's nothing preventing us from putting like local money above and beyond the 50.
Correct.
That is true.
Correct.
So do we really want
Got,
to, sorry,
no,
yeah, I'm even late, so I mean, do we want to make that decision already, to knock it down from 61 to 50? I guess,
Well, the 61 was inaccurate, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
we could only put in,
Yeah, it was supposed to be 21.
right, and somehow it's.
Yeah,
but my point is,
but
ambulances are expensive.
right, and that's the real question here.
That's why I thought we
I
put the
just-
extra 40 in,
Yeah,
because we
We
don't
just
have
Oh.
the reserves, so we put an extra 40.
Okay.
to go
Yeah,
up 20.
so I guess I don't know how all of a sudden
Okay,
we got extra, it sounds like, again, apologize for missing, it sounds like we're getting more stabilization money than we thought we were gonna. So why are we automatically making the decision to, at this point anyways, to reduce what we were gonna put in, I
yeah,
guess is my question.
we're not, but I didn't realize that we did make. a
Oh, I
decision.
thought someone said, so we're changing this.
Because that's what's in here, but she and I thought it was supposed to be 21
yeah.
instead of 61.
Right. It is
Hold on
21.
a second.
I'm lost then.
So the,
Increasing what,
so this says,
the number, right?
well, we're not at the reserve yet.
Sorry,
So let's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how
I
about,
thought we-
how about if we get there?
Yeah.
And
well, again, I didn't know what. So.
Right.
And the grant money is another issue. what you need to deal with is the budget side of it.
Right,
I just wanted her to talk about the grant. Number one, to answer my question, but also so that you guys knew that the increase in the pay for this year to get us on par is covered by the grant. But it won't be in future
well, it'll
years.
probably be this year and next year.
And next
So it'll be
year.
a 2 year,
Probably 2 years it will be covered.
Right, so we don't see the grant, obviously in the budget.
right,
It shows up as revenue.
correct.
Before we do motion to approve the budget. Can I ask about revenue billings?
Always.
How they doing?
Harry sent me the numbers of the new. Ambulance billing is at 80,129.32 as of 4/8. And ALS reimbursement is about $6,000. For helping items.
And what was the forecast?
So we're
If you're
in,
down on calls, you should be down on revenue. The forecast, or not.
I can't remember what last year was. When we got to June.
So you said that eight,
That's another April.
so that's, how many? Count my months.
So we have April still the,
That's
yeah,
9, call it 9.25 months.
so we'll probably be at the 100,000 again this year.
And what do we budget?
I think 120.
I think we're lagging a little
110?
behind.
Yeah, 110.
But not, last time I looked at it, we were lagging a little behind, but that was 3 months ago and it wasn't much behind.
And there was an increase made as well. So that didn't show up in the first few months.
Right.
Yeah, so the last time I looked at it, I thought we were gonna come in right at what we had budgeted for.
So officially, we're at about 86,400 to add them together. So,
86, 400.
Yeah.
And what was our budget?
I think 110.
110.
110, huh?
I think 110.
so with 3 more months of billing,
Yeah,
we should probably gonna hit that.
yeah, so that.
Ooh. Just a straight line projection, that'd be about 115.
All right.
That included
That included the ALS.
the ALS, which is a separate line.
Oh, that's not in 110?
No, which we
Oh.
budgeted for, I
Oh.
think, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Oh, so.
But we're ahead on that one.
So it's
Yeah.
about right on.
Yeah, it's gonna be right on task.
But
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to preliminarily approve the ambulance budget of 380,589? If I can see the blue. 989. 989, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor? I might measure services for the city. Okay, reserves on page 53. So the ambulance reserve. Now let's.
We have $123 in there.
How much does an ambulance cost?
We just spec one out for my Stockton and St. George, it was $395,000.
Yeah.
And that's with a discount for multiple trucks being purchased.
And is it a 10-year life that we should be planning on? And we've consumed 3 of those or 4?
Probably 4.
Four.
So this says 61,784. And does that include $50,000 from the grant and then 20, then the overage is gonna be covered by appropriation or surplus transfer? Is that magic?
Correct.
I thought it was 21 from the grant and 40
Yeah, but
from.
that changed.
It was, that changed.
Oh, when did that change?
Because we're getting two tranches,
So it changed a few minutes ago.
a few minutes.
Okay.
Correct, yes,
So I didn't miss any.
yes.
You didn't miss anything.
So John's question is that enough?
Well, I guess my question was, if we could afford 40 before, why can't we afford 40 now?
40 from appropriation.
Right. That's the question.
Plus the 50 that.
Well, yeah.
From the grant,
Right,
which
right.
would put us up to 90,000 in the reserve.
I'm not recommending that, it's just a question, you know.
So if we're gonna pay 400,000 and if we have 6 years to gain that, then we'd need to put in 66,000.
Right.
Well,
Here.
really 67. Because it's going 666.
So more than that. House inflation.
Yeah.
6 years now, it's not gonna be.
395.
I just did a 61 times 10, not that it's 10, because it should be 6 years, right?
Right.
So you should be, I mean, what's being funded right here seems to.
Well, you gotta know the price you put in today's dollars, not,
Right, right.
not 6 years from now dollars.
And I put in 10 as opposed to 6.
Now,
No, this was just ballpark.
well, the solution that the fire department uses for that is they apply an escalation every year to what they put into
Right.
the reserve account based on how much
The
fire
money.
trucks are going up.
Yeah.
So each year it increases.
It does,
Yeah.
it does need to be more than what's in there because it only is coming out to 370,
Yeah,
so no four.
And or we gotta bump into any maintenance or effort issues with this grant, I mean, a lot of times with a grant, you can't cut what you budgeted locally just because you're gonna supplant it with grant money. I don't know if that's an issue with this grant or not, it is, okay.
Is there a resale value on the old lid?
We will be able to, when we turn it and get, you know, depending on what it's like in 10 years, how many miles on it, all that stuff. We got from the one that they towed away 10,000.
Oh,
Sorry. But, the St. George rig, we had, estimated on what we'd get for it, and they would give us 18 grand right now for it,
So the, just to
which is 10 years old.
go back to Linda's point. So the current ambulance, as I recall, was 203,000 4 years ago. So its replacement now would cost 395. So that's the inflation multiplier of that.
around double, more or less.
And a lot of that is like, everything's increased in the last 2 years because of what's gone on, so, and trying to get it, I mean, we're waiting sometimes 2 years to get an ambulance. So,
And what did you mean by it was a discount because of?
so I ordered 2 trucks at the same time, so we get a $5,000 discount or $10,000 discount on each truck, so. We just rotate it in with, when we're ordering another one from another service, we can get that discount.
But not significant.
No, it's not like a huge, I mean, $10,000, but.
70,000.
Yeah.
So, Linda raises the point of should we fund it more? And John asked that question. Mike, this is an 8%, year-over-year 8% increase budget. As it stands now. That's what you said.
Correct.
Total budget, right?
Yes.
And we don't have the schools yet.
Yeah, but that 8% would be offset a little bit by the extra grants.
Yeah.
Cause that was figuring 40,000 in tax money, local tax money.
Right.
And like we just pointed out too, I mean. Budget's important, obviously, but what's more important, I think, to most taxpayers is what portion. I mean, what is the tax impact of the budget? I mean, if we had a. You know, a $400,000 grant for the ambulance, and we budgeted for it, that would have no impact. I mean, you know what I'm saying, so.
Yeah.
In some ways, in my opinion, that's the more important number.
Okay, so the question for the budget committee is, do you want to accept 61,784 or something different as our recommendation? Which the select board does not have to, accept.
I have one more question.
Sure.
I think, I might be dreaming, my memory's not as good as it used to be. But when we were talking about the budget, I thought you mentioned something about the possibility of buying a new chassis, but keeping the box.
I said a lot of people have gone to that.
That route.
We actually asked about that too with St. George, and it was 275,000 just to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, you're gonna pay 100,000 more-ish
Get the box.
for a brand new everything and not have to go through electrical and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know you said you. were
Yeah,
looking
and I had
at
done the research on both. So it'll save you 100 grand, but you're also
Maybe.
using a 10-year-old
Yeah.
box,
And I assume with the 10-year-old technology.
right?
Yeah.
So the current new one is a Ford Transit. And this was a departure from, whatever the old Fords were. And that decision was not uncontroversial at town meeting, if you'll recall.
Right.
How has it been from a maintenance point of view? Do you know what others that have, that would, we bought that first year the Ford introduced the Transit. So do you have any sense for, what's happening to that breed of car, van?
It's not, I think you're wrong when you're saying that. This is not a transit van style ambulance.
It's a 4-wheel drive.
This is a truck style.
Yeah,
It's a Ford, just like a regular pickup truck
So
Right.
style.
that Ford.
We went from a van style to the truck body style
Okay.
chassis. And we've had great luck with it.
Have others?
this is, I have one here and one in Stockton, and we have had no issue with either one.
Good.
I have more issue with the other one.
Okay.
That's van.
All right, circling back to the 61,784. Is there a motion to approve the funding of the reserve at 61,784? Is there a second?
I think something different. I don't know what the formal way to say that.
So you second the motion and then you can amend the motion
Or let it die.
or let it die. If there's no second, it dies.
So can I second and amend it?
You can second it
I'm
and,
gonna second it.
okay. Now you may amend it.
Now I would like to amend it to.
You may propose.
You may
I propose we bring it to 90 and then preliminarily approve it and decide after we see the whole budget tomorrow, if we want tax savings, that would be one area where we could save.
Okay, so the amendment needs to be seconded.
It just couldn't clear that, so bring it to 90, translate, add another almost 30, not quite 30,000.
Yeah, I'd have to do the math.
And how much did we from appropriated put in last year?
Sure.
Probably made a debt payment. We're paying back the loan to ourselves to pay for the new one. And that's just been exhausted and paid off.
So
And that's why we had the 4-year gap of funding the reserve.
Okay.
And what is the current select board recommendation on this one?
Well, we haven't.
We haven't. We just heard about it.
My personal is 70,000. That's where I would put it.
I'm sorry, Jeff. Didn't
But-
hear you.
70,000 is where I would put it.
So my amendment would add 28,216 and the 61,784.
Is there a second to the amended
260.
proposed amendment?
I would second it. I would like to see that.
It's been moved and seconded that the budget committee recommend $90,000 to be added to the ambulance reserve, 50,000 of which will come from the grant, and the balance will come from appropriation or additional application of surplus. Any discussion?
So the rationale
for that is just to get us to where we need to be.
In 6 years.
Yeah, and
That's my.
because this is a preliminary approval, we have until, the meeting's end tomorrow to adjust it back if you find that something else has increased and we need different funds.
You have to say that I'm still a little confused. I see at the bottom here, I see from your paperwork, what you suggested. Where's the 61 coming from? I know it's from 21,784.
If you look on the page, I guess it's your second page past the front
Yeah.
page, right? And at the bottom or in the middle, it says, talks about the grant,
Right, so that
or she talks about the grant.
you
right?
can only put in 25.
We can put up to 50, 25 on the
Okay,
first
so
check.
is 50 of the 61 actually reflected in the 61?
No,
No.
25.
Not going until the next,
Correct.
after the budget.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, so I,
Yeah, when we did this,
uh-huh,
we figured it, we didn't fully realize that there was a second tranche that was gonna be about the same, in the same budget year, okay? So we put 20, what do we put,
21,
21,
70.
784 from the grant,
uh-huh.
and then we put 40,000 from appropriations or other.
Okay, so there is some appropriation already in there.
Yes.
And that's what I was
40,000.
trying to clarify with this stuff.
And so now we know we can put 50 there.
Mhm.
So John's position was, or his question was, then why don't we add 25 to this? Which would get us what, 86,
Well, that would almost bring us to the 90.
that would be almost 90.
Yeah.
Right.
In other words, we could already state that it's there, because we know it's coming. I understand that.
I just think it's an opportunity considering the grant money and future years, we'll have to put the bill. And it might be worse timing for the grant money.
So
That's a good point.
Okay, so we,
now I'm.
go ahead.
We've got one grant guaranteed and we're morally certain we'll get the next one. And out of them both will happen in this fiscal year. We can put 50 in. So why isn't it 50 plus whatever?
That's what
That was my question.
That's why I'm going up to 90.
Oh,
Right.
that's
Keep us forward.
same way. Then we
Believe John,
got
that's
50 from the grant
Keep us forward.
and 40 from appropriation.
Gives us 90.
Gives us 90. I don't know why there's 1,784.
I can tell you
That, but yes,
that the money that was in there, like, is just, we know, we took 21,784 and took 20,000 to put towards helping with stabilization of, increase of budget for wages. And then we just took the other 21 and said, let's put it in reserve,
oh,
is what we did, because we knew that's the amount we had right now. And then we know now that you can put up to 50,000 in your reserve account, so in the next check, we know we'll be getting that up.
so but this is grant money.
Yes,
Okay,
Amy,
so maybe it would be just less confusing if we just said 50 total from the grants, the two grants will go into the reserve,
Yep.
and then 40 on top is what I'm hearing the budget committee would like, and that was if we get around to voting on it.
And that's the motion,
yes, that's my motion.
that you are ready to vote on that.
Is this a one-time thing, or will you be eligible for a similar grant next year?
So this one here in the EMS stabilization was legislation driven. And they're still doing like Blue Ribbon Commission, they're doing a lot in the legislation, so there may be more to come. They're not guaranteeing it after the second bout.
Okay, so next year, you might be looking to fund that amount of money while out of appropriation.
Well,
Right.
2 years is guaranteed, right?
2 years is guaranteed.
right?
Oh, okay.
Two checks.
Well,
Oh, two checks,
Two
oh, never mind,
checks.
okay, so that's a
Two
big difference.
checks.
So this
That's a big difference.
could be one and done, and you're dealing with the Maine State Legislature, so nothing right here.
So you have the appropriation of the 39 million for the state, so there's two checks available.
Okay.
And then they're gonna go from there.
Okay.
Yes.
So, before we vote, what we're saying is $90,000 consists of $50,000 from the grant and $40,000 from appropriation. And
Or sir.
part or services. And you guys were, your thought process was $40,000 from appropriation right from the get-go, is that right?
Correct.
Well, that's what we
Yes,
approved in the proposed budget.
Pardon?
That's what we approved in the proposed budget. I mean, that was.
yes, that's what our
Yeah,
thinking was.
that was the proposed budget before tonight.
Okay. So did that $40,000 go away from the budget, the 8% that we're looking at, or was it
No.
part of? or-
Part of.
Pardon?
Part,
Part of, okay. That's an important point.
but the 25,000 extra is not currently. Just a little further.
So it's gonna go, yeah.
So,
What we have to appropriate will go down. Yes, it will go down. Not because of this. Well, because, but the amount of our budget is going to increase by 25,000, right? Because you're adding 25,000 to this line. Right? So it will increase by 25,000. On the revenue side, which we haven't even really gotten to, other than me talking about surveys. Some of this grant is gonna go into that, 50,000 will go into that.
Right.
Some of that grant, about 35,000, will go into her normal pay, her normal budget line. And that's 25,000 more than what I currently have probed in one line and 15,000 more than what I currently have probed in the other line. So the overall will go down in the budgeted line, not in the reserve. That'll stay static, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So, any further discussion? Restate the amended motion, just for the
I'm
record.
supposed to know what I said. I propose we add, or we increase the ambulance reserve line from 61,784 to 90,000. With 50,000, knowing 50,000 is coming from grant money and 40 from appropriations. Or surplus.
Although that's. I'm not sure that should be part of the motion. Oh, we can divide the source, can't we?
You can recommend,
Yeah.
you can or suggest or recommend the source. And you could say that if that money weren't there, then we don't want that to be the number.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to put this on the warrant, as long as we have the money, then it's good, but if not, then you speak up there and say, we didn't get the grant money, so we are now amending this. So,
All right, so you're recommending both the amount and the sourcing.
Sure.
Okay,
And the second, is that one's?
yeah, looking for a second. All right, so we're voting on the amended motion, all in favor?
We did one.
It's all. So is it the, are you turning it back to the select board?
No, I'm gonna do the ambulance reserve, equipment reserve.
Okay.
Unless you want
I
to,
wanna-
unless this is open still for discussion.
Well,
I will do that.
I would like, if you're turning it back over,
I
I'd like
will.
to make a motion. I'd like
Okay.
to make a motion that we do the same thing, recommend the same thing you just recommended.
So make me say it again.
so here a second.
I usually like your ideas, John.
And do we want to talk about it anymore? No, all those in favor? Okay, so we agree with you.
Thank you. All right.
Boy, that seemed like
Kate,
a long way around the body.
All right. Ambulance equipment reserve is flat in terms of funding year over year over year. That makes sense to you? Okay, there's a motion to fund the ambulance equipment reserve at $5,000.
Hello.
Is there anything? None, hearing none, all in favor? And Amy and team, I think you're all set.
We have to do the revenue now or no? Right, you guys do that,
The what?
the revenue piece, I don't do that.
No, we don't usually do that
Okay.
later, but if you've got input on it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That goes into
But
the governing document of this entire town, which is also known as Jeff's spreadsheet.
So I'll just send you an email with that.
Yeah, just send me an email.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
I'm here for you, David.
No. You don't read them.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave.
I'm leaving.
Good job.
Thanks.
Amy, Amy, I'm
All right,
right
David,
now, I'm
pop that,
120 at 6.
And then do you want the grant number? 83,568.
Yeah, I got that.
All set?
Yep.
All right. So our budget, starting at the salaries and stipends, those are all just the 3.2% COLA added on to them. So no increase in pay, hourly wage on the besides the COLA. The training, fires and maintenance, did the same thing as last year. Broke them out. Fires and maintenance has been split apart because this is our second year that we wasn't sure how much we were spending in maintenance, and how much we were spending in fire, because it was all one line item. So this is our second time doing this, breaking it out. So I went with the same formula as last year. Maintenance is one Monday a month, 4 hours, times 15 firefighters, times the hourly wage. That's how we come up with that number. Fires is increased. We are way up on fire calls these last couple of years. Last year, we had 114, up from 99. And this year, the first 3 months, we're at 64 already for fire calls. I mean, we're way up on calls.
And just based on my reading of the newspapers and whatever, they're harder and longer.
They are. Yeah, we're getting a lot of big calls. Well,
David, when you say this year, you mean fiscal or annual?
so the amount of calls we do from January 1st to December 31st. So in that, yeah, so last year from January 1st to December 31st, we had 114. So far from January 1st to as of right now, we're at either 64 or 66.
It is a big.
Yeah, huge. And they've well said, it's been big calls, long calls, a lot of fires. So our wages are quite a ways over in this budget, this previous fiscal year budget.
Severe storms drive that too.
Yeah.
That was gonna be my question. They probably have had a lot more trees down calls
Yeah.
and blocking roads and.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, just that snowstorm the other day, we spent 8, 10 hours, whatever it was. We started at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I mean, it was well in the afternoon before we were done. So it's up quick.
So fires is a bit of a misnomer, really. I mean, it's traffic accidents.
Oh, it's all calls.
So it's really kind of a misnomer.
Yes. Fires is just our
Yeah.
calls
Yeah.
that we get. whether it's helping the ambulance or to a structure, anything in between.
What's your roster, your staffing level?
We're at about 20 right now, 20 and 21, something
Great
like that.
improvement.
Yeah,
Good job.
it's going good. Yeah, good group of guys and good group of members. Um, and they're putting a lot of time in, it's great. So. Any questions on the wages? Before we move on. Benefits, that's, we know, Terry's been. Or Anna's now, whoever. Health connections, that stayed the same. Vehicle maintenance repairs, the same. Flow tests. That stayed the same. Miscellaneous repairs, that's all the same. We did go up in our pump test and maintenance line. You'll see it went up about $5,000. The problem is, I upped this because with the new trucks coming, we're right at the line of where we're gonna either have to put money into our tank truck that we have right now, if our new one doesn't get here in time, or we're not. So it's kind of like, it depending on when our new truck gets here, depends on if we have to have the old one pump tested and serviced and all that stuff. So we're not, the date just keeps moving so much that we're not sure when we're gonna get it. Cascade stayed the same.
When's that gonna have to be replaced? Or if at all?
Yeah, right now it's still going strong, so no issue right now.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Fail safe, that went up just a little bit because you'll see we went over on that by $151, but we started testing our forestry hose, so that put it up just a little bit more, so that's why it's at 5,200 now. In previous years, we never did that. Hydro testing, stayed same. Fuel and Verizon, that's the same.
Any questions on contract services?
Ceramic coating,
Yeah. What is it?
I don't know, I don't have it on my, well, I know what it is, but, oh, I see it over here. So that is, so ceramic coating is for, last year we did our engine 53, and they put a ceramic coating on the outside of the body. And that is helping it from going down camp roads and stuff like that, getting big dings in the side. So this 2,500 was to pick another truck to, well, we only have one more because the new one's gonna come. Right. So this was to do our other truck that we have that we were gonna go like we did 53. So
and
that's
the new
what-
ones come with it originally,
I'm not really sure, yeah.
and when are the new coming?
So as of like last week,
Yes, when is it?
the new utility truck is scheduled right now for May, and the tank truck is scheduled for September. So, and it's, for the last two updates, it stayed those 2 months. So hopefully, we're getting close enough now where it's almost gonna be locked in, hoping. But we'll see.
So when the new utility truck comes in May, then you're gonna sell the old one to Owl's Head.
Well, it's already sold, it's pretty much sold, as soon as they sign the bill of sale,
Okay.
pretty much there. Any other questions on contract services?
But I have a question. Sure. Do you anticipate, I see your actuals are quite a bit under this year's budget on vehicles repair and, one other item I can't find where it is right now. Miscellaneous repairs for equipment. Do you anticipate spending the bulk of that between now and the end of the fiscal year?
So. Almost $6,000, that, the vehicle maintenance repairs showing 1,065, that's about, I think right now it's about, should be around like almost $4,000 taken out of that already. And then we went over by almost $6,000 on our maintenance on the trucks. So we're at like $11,000.
Oh, so the 3.6 is no longer a valid number. I mean, it was valid at the time, but no longer 3.654.
I don't know where we are.
Under vehicles maintenance actuals through March, it says 3.654 and your budget is 12,000.
Oh, okay.
5,466.
Looking at an old one, that's fine.
And I'm just curious, that's about $8,000 left in that line, and I didn't know if that's spoken for, for lack
Yes,
of a better
it
word,
is.
or do you anticipate that you will spend that?
Yes, that's gonna be gone. Most of it is now already, like, because of the pump testing that
Okay,
we went over and,
Yeah.
well, not pump test, but maintenance on the trucks.
okay. Thank you. You okay? Yeah.
Keep it go, David.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Okay, so fuel and Verizon, they stayed the same. The dues, that all stayed the same as last year. Dues, fees, travel. Insurance, that's. What I can do with that, that's Terry.
Cannon.
And then supplies, fire prevention stayed the same. Parking station, EMS, PP, all that stayed the same. And then any questions so far?
No.
Okay, under equipment, you'll see some changes, and that's due to air packs going up. Air bottles, cylinders being raised a little bit. It's just the price increase that happened since last year. And then, oh, that's right, we took it out. But, oh, the other big increase is the hand tools. So not this fiscal year we're in right now, but the previous one. We had $5,000 in there for hand tools and like brackets and stuff for the new fire trucks. Which we did not spend because we didn't have the trucks. And now I'm anticipating that hopefully we're gonna have the trucks in this next fiscal budget. So we've raised that back up to 5,000 to help us buy mounts and stuff like that, get the equipment on these new trucks. That's why that is increased there.
So, the LDH hose, oh, it's 5 inches, the LDH hose. You asked for 10,000 and, your masters, not concurred with that recommendation.
Okay, we're gonna take it out of reserve,
Okay.
that's why.
Questions? Hearing none.
Could I ask a question? Sure. This is my annual question, and I think it's important since we're changing from Terry to Hannah. I assume this is more a question for Terry. I assume we are double checking to make sure our insurance on our trucks is actual value as opposed to, okay. Which is a very important point for Hannah to understand.
We discussed it when we did our renewal.
Okay,
So before we like vote on this. I brought it up to Terry somewhere here. Just recently, we found out that because of a neighboring town, they had the same issue and one of their chiefs had banged up their truck, just like hit something on a call in their personal vehicle. And once they got looking to make a claim through the town insurance, they realized that their insurance doesn't cover their private vehicles on calls. The only thing that they would cover is if like the town bought a light bar and you hit like a limb and it broke your light bar, they'll replace the light bar or something like that, that a town purchased the equipment for the vehicle. So if we're taking any of our private vehicles, we're on our own insurance. The only thing that our insurance company said is that we could possibly submit a claim for them to reimburse our deductible for our personal insurance. And that's only case by case scenario that they will pay for that. So I don't know if there is like a rider we can put on or some type of insurance that could help us, because, it's gonna affect our personnel if they get in the, their deductible could go up, insurance could go up, whatever. Their personal policy, not the town's.
MMA does not offer anything like that.
Okay. I don't know if there's any ideas or, I don't know.
I've run into this before several times, and it's very difficult to find somebody who will insure someone else's property. Because you don't have control over what's done and, but I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've never found anything in all the years I've been involved in this type of work, so.
You can put a rider on your own vehicle, only because I had to with mine, because every town I work for, they don't.
Did the rider cost you money? Exactly.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Well, and I'll add to that. If you don't get the rider and you don't notify your insurance company,
They don't have to pay.
then there are some insurance companies that won't pay it if you're using it for fire, responding to a fire, or even using it for going to and from work. Most of them will do to and from work, but they won't pay you for during work. So if you're making deliveries or those kind of things, unless you tell them ahead of time, and they will include that in there. So, yeah, I would caution anybody from using their own vehicle unless their insurance company knows about it.
And they have to know that you use a lights and.
Yeah.
It's so easy, if we're on, like, responding to help the ambulance for a lift assist on these camp roads, that's so easy to back into a tree or on the end of the road or
I know it.
any of that stuff. And
Is it common to use your own vehicles?
no, see, we're really good in South Thompson about not allowing our members to go to these scenes. But when we do, it's like assisting the ambulance. We don't come and get fire trucks to go help do CPR or do a lift assist. We just go respond there, and load the patient and then go home. So that's the main time that we have multiple vehicles on a scene.
So that's my.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, it's ambulance.
Sorry to put it in my budget.
We do occasionally, speaking for myself and possibly my brother, have to block traffic on St. George Road or any road for that matter, with my vehicle is a work truck, it's my work truck, but it's also considered a command vehicle. So I get out there and I block a road, and it's to protect an ambulance scene or an accident, what have you. And that could take a serious crash from somebody gawking or somebody drunk or what have you, not paying attention. So the potential is out there that our personal vehicles can get damaged.
So we couldn't like reimburse if they got extra insurance.
That's where mine was going.
Yeah.
That it might be a reimbursable expense
Yeah.
to cover that.
Would it be, I don't know what a rider costs, but could the rider be, if the rider is only for when you're using it for town business, could the town pay for the rider?
But that's what John was saying earlier.
Oh, well.
We might be able to
For
reimburse them for them paying for
for
the ride.
getting the rider?
Right.
But I think that would have to be a carefully crafted policy.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
think it's anything we can right here tonight.
Right.
Huh?
Correct, but it-
Yeah, because there's a lot of potential, I don't wanna say abuses, but
There's ways it could go wrong.
I mean, how would, whatever, discussion for another night, I think, but,
Yeah, well, I just,
yeah.
if we find something and it happens in this next budget, we won't have the money to pay for it. That's what-
I can see what my.
Yeah, yours is probably one of the more expensive,
Mine is.
yeah.
Like what, do you have any idea how much it would cost to cover?
I will find out.
Okay, you
Just
said
see
there's
what it is
20
at minimal and what mine is.
Yeah, roughly.
I'd be interested if you're still going to mid-coast managers meetings.
Yeah.
I'd be interested if anybody's doing it locally and if they have a written policy, if that's something you could ask.
They're not.
Hmm?
I can tell you that this just came up in St. George and it came up at multiple other services
Yeah.
that. Do you know you can use your light without having a rider?
Mhm.
Well,
So,
it-
I don't think.
I worked with school district for years and it came up there because teachers and others would use their kids to transport kids.
Right,
And now we're really talking potential.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be any different from Terry going out for code enforcement stuff and
No,
backing in.
same
It's like,
thing, yeah.
use, or we don't have a town vehicle.
Right.
All right.
Feel like she can
Oh, that's
use
a
it.
good point.
Or me, using my.
Yeah, same with you,
Yeah.
public works.
Right. That's why I got a community paramedic and,
And MMA doesn't offer anything,
I asked to.
yeah,
I think the problem is control. How do you
Right.
control it?
right.
You know, you don't know.
Yeah.
How do you know that happened while they were?
Right.
you know?
It would be.
Not that I'm.
And when
Right.
are you on the clock? When you wake up?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
when you're getting,
Well,
you know what I mean, like
Right.
getting to the station? Yeah.
But you know, somebody goes out at 11 o'clock at night and damages a vehicle coming home from a party and, oh, I did that when I was.
Well, it'd be way.
I'm not suggesting. but
It would
that's-
have to be during the off-peak. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more difficult to manage and craft a policy than you might initially.
Oh,
think,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
definitely. I agree.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about, it's like, so are we covering you when you go to the station when the pager goes out? Or is it only when you're
Yeah.
going to the scene, or is it, you know, so there's a lot of,
Yeah, permutation.
yeah.
So can we leave the policy making into the more than capable hands of the select board? David, thank you. So do I have a motion to approve the, preliminarily approve the fire budget at 167,850?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, who's second?
But nobody wants to give David his $10,000 back for his, LDHO, so. Okay, any further discussion?
You should have told us when it was coming out.
All in favor? David, thanks to you and your team for keeping us safe and also for making this process so smooth and logical and acceptable. More than acceptable. Personally, I'm glad to fund you.
Thank you.
You can say that to me.
Nothing good for all.
Fire pond maintenance. Department heads and select board are requesting funding for $5,000. Is there a motion to approve that recommendation on a preliminary basis?
Nice question.
Sure.
I feel like I heard this one of my first years, but do we fund reserves every second year?
No, it depends on the reserve each year on whether we recommend funding.
I think what you're confusing with is the paving reserve of practice for a bunch of years. Was we paid in one year and we fund in another.
Okay.
And then we've deviated from that. Over the last couple of years, and we'll continue for another couple of years, but that, I think that's what you're
Yeah.
referring to.
Yeah.
That's what it is, okay.
There a motion to approve or recommend, Shirley Maryland? Bob moved,
Second.
any seconds, any questions? All in favor? Fire truck reserve. David, you didn't have a recommendation?
No, because it's for the payments for the new truck. So however we're, Jeff, you can get away. It's fine.
Well, John can explain it better than I can. This is actually going, it won't go into the reserves, it'll be part of the final payment. There might be some left over with the way it's going right now.
The balance.
The balance of, yeah, but to make the numbers come out right, we'll need that 60,000 to pay for the truck, basically.
Not for this.
So what's already in the reserve is also gonna go for the truck.
Yes,
Going to-
yes,
And then we have to start up the mountain again.
correct,
So you're getting a truck this year?
yes.
Two trucks this
Two
year, and how much?
$850,000. For both.
For both.
This is a small truck and a big truck.
And it's not, is it a main bond bank, borrowing or?
No,
Did we decide?
we kind of punted on
It
that.
hasn't
yet.
been-
We haven't decided, because the truck dates kept getting pushed
Right.
out and out and out, so I guess we gotta revisit that.
Yeah.
And so you got you've engaged Machias as well for, a loan funding from them,
I believe them as
Terry?
I got some rates from them, but
Okay, but you're not moving, you haven't, okay, all right.
We did dismiss the idea of a lease purchase through the manufacturer or the. I don't know if they're a
But you
manufacturer.
we decided not to go with that one.
Right, that's what I said.
For
Oh, yeah.
several.
Yeah, for
Yes.
several reasons, but but I guess we need to revisit that. Well, we probably don't for the first truck.
No,
No, we got plenty of days for that,
yeah.
yeah. But again, the dates have been just all over that place.
If there's 24,000 in reserve and the truck or trust cost 850,000, does that mean we've already paid half?
No.
No, it will. Yeah.
Right,
We're gonna borrow the money.
we're gonna borrow the rest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was laid out in the financing was laid out in the article, I don't have that.
I was
down.
just gonna ask, we did
Yeah.
go over that was approved at last
Yes,
meeting.
yeah,
Of what
yeah, all of that's been corrupted a little bit because we were anticipating the trucks originally would come this. fiscal year.
Yes, yeah. And if I remember right now, that 60,000, we threw that in there to just, because it's just gonna knock down that total borrowing price.
Right.
That was just something we chose to,
Yes.
yes.
So you're draining this to give a down payment, and then the rest is being financed.
Yes.
Well, we're not giving them 424,000 for down payment.
Right.
I mean, it's not cash out the door. so
They're gonna send us a bill for $850,000 and 424 plus 60 are gonna be a check.
Right.
And then the balance is gonna be borrowed or
Yeah.
funded some other way,
Yeah,
which is detailed in last year's warrant.
2 years ago now.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so there's zero, other than the 60,000, there's zero impact on this year's budget for purchase of the fire truck.
But it will be next year.
There will be.
There'll be debt service next year.
There'll be debt service next year and then, yeah, probably.
We may
just-
need to start climbing the mountain again.
Yeah.
That's where it gets hard. Because we're gonna be behind every year if we don't do something.
Yeah. Okay, where we are.
How long do you estimate that truck will last?
So our rotation is every 10 years, not, so we have 3 main pieces of apparatus. Our rotation is so the trucks last 30, they'll be 30 years old when they're replaced. So every 10 years, we're buying a truck and that makes it 30 years old. So when the rotation falls, like this year, this purchase, we purchased the utility truck with the tank truck, so the 2 cheaper of the 4 trucks. In that year to offset where we have 4 trucks. It's been a rotation that we've been in for quite a few years now.
They actually last 30 years.
They last 30 years. We buy one every 10 years. Or two, depending on how old.
And that 30 years is a pretty good number, because the last couple years of that 30 years, you're putting more money and more money and more money into it.
That's proven.
Yeah.
The last 2 years of that truck is kind of,
Yeah, we're just bringing, makes it.
Yeah, still on.
did I hear a motion to approve the 60,000 or not?
So, I'll move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, fire equipment reserve. Questions? No? Motion to approve funding preliminarily at $10,000. So moved. There a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Remind me what happened to the self-contained breathing apparatus reserve? It's just okay as it is, David?
Yeah, I don't know why we haven't put any money in that for quite a few years, but
Have you get a grant for
we have been, for
Yeah.
the balls.
that? Oh,
This is for air packs. and all.
oh, okay.
So that, I mean, that 14,000, that'll buy us 2 air packs.
And John asked about grants, right? So we have been getting grants.
For the balls.
Oh. Hmm.
Okay.
All right, I'll leave this smarter minds than mine to sort out. Fire truck repair reserve,
So we threw that in there just to bring that up to $30,000. Have in there.
their motion to preliminarily approve funding of the fire truck repair reserve at $3,240.
So,
Is there a second?
so,
Any discussion?
yes, you said you wanted to bring it up to 30,000? You
What
might
it
be
was
there.
supposed to be.
Oh, they're at 26 and things.
Yes, it's, well, they're all almost 27, I suppose, maybe, you know.
That should be a little bit over.
69 dollars, wow.
You want to amend the motion, Sandra?
On the interest.
Please go.
Oh, yeah, probably the interest updated.
Actually answered.
Yeah, that's what.
The interest updated probably
It's gonna
changed.
go out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep chasing it.
We voted to approve it.
Okay, so. Who?
Any,
I second that then.
Coming down in a second, is it?
Bob? I think.
Sure.
Okay.
okay, I think we're done. And again, thanks.
You're very welcome. The only other, yeah, I'm gonna have one other thing to bring up. And that is, I don't know what night you guys are doing the building maintenance. Tomorrow night. Okay.
No, we did it
No, I did it last.
Oh,
night.
yeah, that's right. Oh, you're talking about alarms?
I am.
That was gonna ask you that question,
Okay.
because it came up last night.
Alright, so I talked to fire marshal.
I have giving all of them.
Well, anyway, so where we have. Okay, handwritten it too.
Wanna
right
look
here.
at mine?
Well, anyway, I can remember off the top of my head. So for the fire marshal, where we have people sleeping here. We need hardwired smoke alarms. Inside the sleeping room, outside the hallway, in the adjacent rooms. Down in the basement and in the town office area. And they have to all be interconnected. What about your finish wall? Don't think so. Right, yeah, right. My face. So what he said, is where we have two, possibly up to two EMS workers sleeping here. We can use the 1 and 2 family dwelling requirements for smoke detection and carbon monoxide. The requirements for smoke detection would then be that they shall be installed in the following locations: all sleeping rooms outside of each separate sleeping area. On each level of the dwelling unit, including basements, and they all have to be hardwired. And then we had, prior to that, we had got a proposal from Seco Security to outfit the whole building with a alarm system, and that was about that. 19,000, yep.
So is this, the firehouse less ambitious than what Seacoast proposed? It sounds like.
Yeah, probably, I mean, there's probably a lot of extra stuff in the Seacoast one.
So for David's benefit, what we did last night, if I recall, is we kept the 19,000 as a placeholder, waiting kind of to hear back from you on whether. So I guess we still need more information on what's it gonna cost to implement the fire department, the fire marshal's recommendation.
See, those cost a lot more than that.
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
they've got bells and whistles that'll go with.
Yeah,
them now.
because we had that and we switched to.
Yeah.
So we kept it as 19 for just. We figured it was easy to remember to take it out and it wasn't put it back in.
But battery powered aren't gonna work, it's gotta be,
You know, where the people sleeping, you can't be.
but nobody's sleeping there.
They're not supposed to be, yeah. Because we don't have sleeping quarters.
Yeah,
Well, they can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're allowed to.
yeah.
But we technically don't have sleeping quarters, and we don't have beds.
Right.
You know,
But if he said this is what you need, and he didn't say anything about the fact that we're declaring them as sleeping quarters, and that's a good thing. Good.
Right now, the current alarm system for the building is word of mouth.
Yes, it is.
Now think about that, just think about that.
I agree.
If there's a fire on the apparatus floor. And a fireman runs in here, there's nobody here. It's a Saturday afternoon.
Right.
He runs to the ambulance room, there's nobody there. Where are they? The ambulance isn't out. Who's in the town office on Saturday afternoon?
Terry.
Maybe
sometimes.
In the meantime, is anybody in the basement? So
Probably not.
by the time we get done just alerting the building. Or the fire could be in a waste basket in town office. Does Terry need to go running through at any given time, day or night, and make sure there's nobody else in this building anywhere? I mean, this is waiting to happen. Just,
So where can we get a cost for the hardwired for every place? Where would you go?
they're very able to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else. I mean, runs wiring and runs all the systems and stuff. I mean,
So Seacoast is the only,
No,
No.
Almost any electrician can run.
yeah, any
hardwired
electrician
alarm
could do
system.
that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's,
people have them in their homes,
yeah, we don't,
but not through Seacoast.
so we just need to find an electrician and get a price, just
A
put it in our
price.
budget.
we're putting the alarms in accordance with that. Is there one to the Bay Hill?
I don't know, I'd have to read it more. I can't remember what he said about that. I think maybe a heat detector out there, but not. Combination. Can't remember.
So it should be, even if it's not required, but you got fuel out there.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I just hope you guys don't think like, let's try to squeak by with a bare minimum of one detector here and one detector here.
No, that's,
And we still have to remember that,
No.
you know, people are sleeping here, and there could be a fire anywhere in this building.
no, our thinking on it was that, Seacoast is gonna hardwire all the alarm systems and give you something you can see on your phone. And then they're gonna be a third party, that the alarm goes to off-site so that they can then call dispatch to send or notifies.
And there'd
A
be
key
an
holder.
annual fee for
And
that.
there'll be an annual,
Yeah.
that's the direction we didn't.
Yeah.
Um,
They probably do it without the monitoring contract, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
And
because I think
they-
they actually did it separate.
And the people sleeping here is relatively new. I mean, I think that's. I mean, I didn't even know people were until a couple of months ago. That was something that originally they weren't doing, or if they were, we didn't know
We
about
didn't
it.
know about it.
And so that changed everything, I think, when you had people sleeping,
Yeah.
or not you, but the ambulance service sleeping.
So if you can get the fire marshal's information to Carrie and Hannah, we can see if we can find it.
Didn't Amy just mention someone else,
Yeah, she did.
another company?
There's
did.
Protect Security, there's, I mean, there's,
She just mentioned someone that I think she said St. George used or something, but.
I'm sure there's lots of them.
Or an electrician, I think.
Was surprised to find out that the fire department didn't have.
Yeah.
So they're just around them.
Yeah, I don't know, and I wasn't a part of the committee, but I don't know why it was never come up in this.
Yeah,
This whole,
I'm surprised.
I don't think there's ever been any, I thought when this first came up a couple of months ago, we were gonna get some battery operated one just temporarily, just to
Yeah,
have something, huh?
I mean, that hasn't even happened.
I know, we just learned that last night. Terry's gonna look into that, but I mean,
Well, we now have the battery operated ones for homes that you can't take the batteries out. So that your tenants can't take them out and not have,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Really good to know.
Okay.
I wish my son, the electrician, actually lived in the state, but he doesn't. So he's the one that said, no, get those.
I would think there should be one in the boiler.
The boiler room, when I installed the new boilers, per my code, I have to provide an explosive gas and carbon monoxide alarm, and it's a combination alarm. So if anybody ever shows up here, you hear something going on out there near the doghouse,
Don't open the door.
don't open the door, don't open the light switch.
But the problem is, right now, do you think you'd hear that if that was going on?
Oh, no.
So we're all sitting in here right now, there could be gas seeping up from downstairs, we would never know it right now. No idea.
Hopefully we'd smell it, right? That's why it has that.
Might be too late by then, though. That's the problem.
Hurry up and get that. We wanna talk to the guy who installed it.
But I mean, that's closed in a room down there that, I mean, you're gonna have to be on top of it to hear it. And if it was dead quiet here, maybe you'll hear a faint beep, but
Yeah.
way down there.
And what's probably gonna happen is, do you hear a buzzing?
What's that?
What's the first thing you do when you open the door?
Yeah.
So how many battery operated ones should we order and who's going to put them on? Cause I can tell you I can't do it.
I mean, I just thought we should have a couple of battery operated ones around just to sort this
In
out.
there and out there. The kitchen area and out there.
And when they sleep, outside when they sleep maybe, or I don't know. David probably is the best person to ask for that.
It's not that hard to screw.
No, it's just two screws, right?
Well, and they've got some now that sit on shelves.
I was gonna say, they don't have to go.
They don't have.
They
to-
also,
They just
like,
have to be
we also have a one outside.
Yeah.
Right, but it's lower to the floor, and I was educated that way too. It's like, I've been, yeah. And I.
We're ready when you are.
So do we want to adjourn or do we want to go after summer tomorrow?
There's another meeting.
Another meeting
coming
coming in.
in. Yes.
Yeah,
that's why we have.
Without objection, I adjourn everybody.
You guys got anything else? Without objection, the select board is adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Drive.